Welcome in to the Father-Son Football Fanatics podcast. I'm Michael Combs. This is Caden Combs.
Hi.
We're going to be your hosts for this podcast. On this show, we talk about fantasy football, NFL, and of course, our Cincinnati Bengals. Hooday! Today, we're going to be talking some news around the league.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about free agents. We're going to be talking about a fantasy breakdown.
The draft prospects
and of course,
for 2022 NFL Draft.
QB draft prospects. So it's all going to be focused around quarterback position this week. So let's get right into it. All right, so this is our first show. So welcome in, and we're glad you're here watching with us. Just to give you a little rundown of what we've got here on our set, we took some time to set up this cool little set here. And of course, since we're talking some fantasy football, we've got to show you our credibility, why we're here to talk about it, and why you should listen to us.
So, last year in fantasy, we started our NFL league, or our fantasy league, and the first year that we started it, I won the fantasy league, and every time we get a little prize for winning that. And last year, I got this ring that says Fantasy Champion on it, and it's very nice ring. It's definitely going to be on the set the entire time we do this show. And yeah, so that's my fantasy that I won last
He's
year.
pretty proud of his championship fantasy ring there. And then this past year, I won the league, and this was the trophy. It's going to be a traveling trophy for our league. The name gets added to the side here. It's a nice little mini Lombardi trophy looking thing there for the Combs League that started in 2021.
The Bengals should have won this, but the actual one. They should have won it.
Yes, they should have. Last couple plays of the game were very sad for us Cincinnati fans.
Questionable.
But that's okay. Along with that on the set here, we've got a few other things. We won't talk about it all today. We'll talk about those in future episodes too. But one thing on the wall behind us here that I do want to talk about is this towel that from the Super Bowl of the Bengals. So it says "Rule It All." It's got the Super Bowl logo for this past year.
You can't get it anymore. It was only given out at the Super Bowl.
It was given out to people who went to the Super Bowl. I know what you're thinking. No, we did not go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. However, we did know somebody that went, and they grabbed a couple extra ones for people they knew who were big Cincinnati fans, and we were fortunate enough to get one. So that's the cool thing we have back here on the wall. So you'll be forced to stare at that for the duration of this show.
Yep.
All right, so let's jump in to some news.
So the news is about Aaron Rodgers and if he's going to stay with the Green Bay Packers or not this year. So yeah, take it away.
I think it's the biggest news on the docket. It's what everybody wants to know. Where's Aaron Rodgers going to land?
Yeah.
I know that Green Bay still wants him there. Denver would like to have him. Washington would like to have him. And there's actually talks with all these teams who he's going to pick, where he's going to go. I'm glad that the talk of Pittsburgh Steelers is, I think, off the table.
Yep.
We don't want him going there because they're our rivals. We can't have that. So we don't need a two in a row MVP quarterback to go up against twice a year.
I looked at it. He's actually he's won the MVP 4 times in the past 12 years.
That's impressive. And 2 years back to back, especially with all the drama going on around the Packers.
Right now, yeah.
For him to still pull out the MVP 2 years in a row with limited weapons for him to use. You know, he's got Devontae Adams, but
also I think if wherever Rodgers goes, if he goes anywhere, he's gonna. I think Devontae Adams is going to go with him, and then he's going to. You know, they're gonna. If they go to the Broncos. Broncos are gonna be an insane team.
Well, he wants Devontae Adams to go, but Green Bay is fighting. They're not going to let him go easy.
Well, then their franchise team would be gone if those two left.
Yeah, they would definitely be in a rebuild mode for sure. But Aaron Rodgers is looking for he wants to be the top paid player in the NFL.
In the NFL? I thought it was just on the Packers.
In the whole NFL. So he's looking for $50 million plus to play.
I would say come to the Bengals if we still had Andy Dalton, but we don't. We got Joe Burrow, the new star to our team.
Hating on Andy Dalton.
Sorry.
That's okay. We're definitely happier with our quarterback we have now, Joe Burrow. As you can see, we've got our Joe Burrow jerseys on. We're big fans of the Bengals and of Joe Burrow. But let's say Aaron Rodgers goes to Washington. What does that do for Washington? Obviously, they get a great quarterback. How does that affect? How do you think that affects the rest of the team? The weapons they have there, are the weapons there any better than the weapons he has in Green Bay?
No. Green Bay, they have so many good weapons that they use on their team, obviously, and it's crazy how good of the team they have and how they did not make it to the Super Bowl this year. But I do think that Washington has a pretty good team as well. If they had a really good quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, they would be able to. I think they'd be able to win, go to the playoffs at least.
Yeah, I mean they've got good players. They've got Terry McLaurin. They've got Gibson, Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
So they've got some decent players on the team, but
they got Chase Young.
Well, of course he dominates on defense, but does Aaron Rodgers with those two offensive players, is that a better setup for him than Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones in Green Bay?
No,
I don't think it is.
I think he's actually going to stay with Green Bay this year.
Yeah. Now Denver. If he were to go to Denver, that'd be a little bit scarier. They would have if Cortland Sutton is still going to be there. They'd have him. They'd have Jerry Jeudy. They'd have Noah Fant at the tight end position. They'd have Javonte Williams in the backfield. Melvin Gordon is a free agent this year, I believe, but if they happen to bring him back, he doesn't necessarily hurt the team. And Denver, their defense is pretty good.
Plus Von Miller.
So you might have a little better shot in Denver than you would in Washington. But I think his best shot is with Green Bay.
I do too. I think he can win definitely a Super Bowl with Green Bay if they keep the healthy team that they are. And yeah. That's all I really got to say about Aaron Rodgers.
I agree. So I think we're in agreement that he stays with Green Bay.
Yeah.
We'll see. Money talks. So we'll see what they offer and how that goes. But that's definitely where I think he's going to end up is back in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So now we will move on to quarterback free agents.
Okay, guys, and now for the free agency top 10 quarterbacks on free agency of 2022. So the first one is Ben Roethlisberger, and he is pretty much officially retired. Not 100% yet, so he's not. So I don't think he's coming back this year. I think he's just gonna retire. But this year he did pretty good. He had 22 passing touchdowns. He had 5 rushing yards. That's actually kind of funny.
That is funny.
5 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, so I'm assuming that rushing touchdown was 5 yards. And then,
Had to be a QB sneak.
Yeah.
There's no way he's running outside the pocket.
yeah. 10 interceptions and 11 fumbles, and then 3,740 passing yards and 1,076 snaps on the season. And obviously he's from Pittsburgh. Yeah, I don't think that he's going to come back. So, yeah.
Now he would be. I could see him being a strong backup, maybe. Maybe bring him on a team to support a rookie quarterback, something like that. Train them. Having a veteran guy like that in the locker room never hurts. But I think it's time for Big Ben to stay retired, hang it up, right off into the sunset, and
He's
never
42.
look back.
He's like 40 years old. It says right here 39. So
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
40.
He. This past year was a little rough for him. I don't think he comes back from that and has a great season next year.
Especially getting blown out of the water in the playoffs. That did not help him at all.
It did not. So I think he's retiring. I think we probably won't see him on team.
Which is good, because, as Cincinnati Bengals fans, Ben Roethlisberger can really do anything to any team. He could be any team if he really wanted to, because he's good.
He was good in his prime. He's a little past that now. So, which as a Bengals fan, we're happy to see that with the Steeler. But Big Ben was a good player. So next one we've got is Ryan Fitzpatrick. I feel like Ryan Fitzpatrick is a free agent every year.
Yeah.
I feel like he signs a 1-year contract with every single team. I think he's almost played for every single team in the NFL.
He's even played on the Bengals, right?
He was on the Bengals at one point, yes. He's been in Tampa Bay. He's been in Miami. He's been in Washington. He's been everywhere. Never really your franchise quarterback. Never really your full starter. I mean, he'll start, but he plays half the season and then he gets benched or whatever. So I see him going somewhere. I see him filling a spot that needs filled for a year or half a year, maybe with a rookie quarterback situation.
Where do you think he's going to go?
I mean, teams that would benefit from having him. Houston. Houston needs a quarterback. I mean, there's not
they
really...
got Davis Mills.
Carolina, yeah, Davis Mills. Carolina could use a quarterback in the interim as they search for their next quarterback. There's a few teams around the league that could use that support and that's really what he brings to the table, is just getting you through until you get your next guy. Yeah,
I agree on that, and I think the team that he's going to go to, I think he's going to go to Pittsburgh. I really do. I think he's going to go to Pittsburgh and be a backup, though. I don't think he's going to be a starter because, he's never a starter, especially for the full season.
Honestly, Pittsburgh would be a good landing spot for him. I think he's better than Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins. So I think he would come in and be your day one starter. But I think it'd be a year at best.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to stay there long, but I think he will go there, and unless Washington signs him back.
They could do that.
But
if they get Aaron Rodgers, they won't need to, but they could do that if they're looking for their next guy. I don't think Taylor Heineke's
He's
the
39
answer.
as well. He's 39 as well.
He is.
Old.
So he's probably
got
two more years
left. 2 more years left.
Well, let's jump on to the next guy on the list there.
So the next one is Andy Dalton, the former Bengal. He is on the free agency, and he was from Chicago. I think he's going to stay at Chicago. I think they're going to re-sign him because Justin Fields, I feel like he's the answer. But if he gets hurt like he did last year, should have at least Andy Dalton come in and maybe they'll switch every game or so. And I think he's going to go back to, go back to Chicago. And yeah, this year he did pretty good with 1 fumble, 9 interceptions, and he only played like not a lot. Well, I guess he did, but then rushing, he had 79 rushing yards or 76 rushing yards, 8 passing touchdowns, and 1,515 passing yards, and then 412 snaps. He did pretty good this year. I don't think he's the best quarterback in the league. I don't think he's the worst, but he's definitely in the middle.
He's definitely starting caliber. You could start him, and he's gonna play the game well enough. He's not gonna win you every game. He's not going to be the most accurate and the best quarterback that you can get, but
He'll be enough.
if you're a team like Washington or Carolina or Houston or even the 49ers, who are gonna, they're probably gonna run with Trey Lance, but I don't think Trey Lance is as good as everyone thinks, and they may need a backup option to
Did you
go
know
to.
Jimmy Garoppolo actually has a Super Bowl?
With the Patriots
Yes.
as the backup, yeah. So, Andy Dalton is he's kind of a Ryan Fitzpatrick kind of player to me,
But 5 years younger.
but younger, where he can come in, he can be the veteran guy for the team, he can help you win games, but he's not gonna be the best.
Yeah.
You definitely want to go get a better quarterback than Andy Dalton if he's on your team. But I agree with you. He could stay in Chicago. Justin Fields still has a lot to prove there. So if he doesn't end up proving that by middle of next year, we could see a change with Andy Dalton coming in and finishing out the year.
I agree with that. Let's get on to the next one.
Next one on the list, the one and only Cam Newton. So
Coming out of Carolina.
Again,
Yep.
Cam Newton, I would be surprised if he lands a starting role anywhere. I would almost be surprised if he lands a backup role anywhere.
I think he's going to stay on free agency.
I just
think if Carolina gets a better quarterback, they're not going to re-sign him in the draft. Because they didn't do that good this year. If they get a better... I don't know what pick they are in the draft.
So let me ask you this. You're Carolina. You're getting a quarterback off of free agency.
They have the 6th round pick. And, yeah,
So you're... Think about this. You're Carolina. You're getting a quarterback out of free agency. Are you re-signing Cam Newton, or are you grabbing Andy Dalton or Ryan Fitzpatrick?
I think I'd go with Andy Dalton.
I think I would too. I mean,
Cam Newton did good, though. He did good.
You've got weapons in Carolina. You've got Christian McCaffrey. You've got DJ Moore.
He almost has more rushing yards than passing yards.
So you put those guys with an Andy Dalton, you've got the potential to have a good run as a team. Not your forever answer, but you've got potential to have a good run at a playoff spot with that team. Cam Newton came in and proved what he couldn't do, which is play football anymore. And I don't think he's going to... I'll be shocked if he lands on a team anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
So moving on now to the next guy on the list.
Tyrod Taylor from coming out of Houston. And I don't see him going anywhere.
You think he stays in Houston?
No.
Oh, you think nobody picks him up?
No, I don't think anybody picks him up. I mean, he's definitely not your starting quarterback in my opinion. I mean, you can get better ones. You can get... I just don't think he's the best. I mean, he did decent this year. I'm not even going to say it. He didn't do that good this year, actually.
Tyrod's not... He's definitely not on my list of quarterbacks to get if I'm looking for a quarterback.
I think I'd rather have, somebody like Teddy Bridgewater, because I think he's better.
Yeah, Bridgewater did better for Detroit than Tyrod did for Houston. Now...
I'm pretty sure Teddy Bridgewater was on Denver.
That's what I said, isn't
You
it?
said Detroit.
Detroit, Denver. You know what? I had more than half the letters right. So no, I think Tyrod Taylor doesn't. I think he goes somewhere as a backup at best. But he's not going to be a starter. Not for any team that has.
But I actually do think he
sense.
did get hurt this year. I do think he could
He's
go
been
back to
he's
Houston.
been hurt.
I think he's Davis. I think he's better than Davis Mills. Davis Mills is not that good.
I think they're the same. I think you could put either one out there and it really wouldn't matter.
Yeah, they both play picks.
And they don't really have any receivers to throw to anyway. So
They got Brandon Cooks, but
that's it.
that's it. They might not even have him this year.
Now the next guy on the list, Jameis Winston. This one's interesting.
He's young for.
He is young for having played as much in the NFL as he has. I don't know that he did enough in New Orleans.
He actually holds the record for picks in this season, 31.
I think I'd have to fact check this, but I think that year he got the most touchdown passes and the most interceptions. Both categories, he was number one. So he threw the most touchdowns that year, and he threw the most interceptions. So that's hard to do right there.
I think he broke the record though for the interceptions.
For most interceptions, probably.
31. That's a lot.
He's the gunslinger. He just goes out and throws the ball, and half the time his team catches it for a touchdown, half the time the other team catches it for an interception, and that's just kind of how he plays. But I think it'll be interesting where he goes. I don't know that he did enough in New Orleans to stay there.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably move on from him, and whether they keep Taysom Hill or try to go get somebody else.
Taysom Hill's not your answer for quarterback.
He's not. But he's a guy that'll get you through a season so you can get a better one next year.
With over 1,000 rushing yards.
Yeah, he will rush the ball for sure. But Jameis, I mean, he could go somewhere. Let's say Aaron Rodgers goes to Washington or Denver. Jameis Winston could go into Green Bay with Devontae Adams, with Alan Lazard, with Robert Tonyan at the tight end position, with Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I mean, they've got good enough receivers that I think he could go there and he could make them a pretty good team. He's not going to be your franchise guy. He's not going to be there forever, but he could definitely go there and make an impact.
Yep.
So, next guy.
I don't really even want to talk about this guy. He's not that good.
He's really not.
It's Jacoby Brissett. He played 11 games, and he threw for 1,283 yards.
So that means he averaged
like 100 yards.
about 100 yards a game.
That's not good.
No.
Especially, Jameis Winston played 7 games and almost threw more than him.
Which still isn't great, but I think Jacoby goes somewhere as a backup. He's not going to see the field unless
I think he stays in
no other
Miami.
choice. He could because he knows the scheme there. He's got a similar gameplay as Tua.
And then Tua is going to be their starter, obviously, because they drafted him for a reason. But then Tua got hurt for 7 games this year, so there goes Jacoby Brissett throwing 4 interceptions, throwing 6 times.
100 yards a game.
100 yards a game, basically.
So not much to talk about
And
there.
then moving on, this is probably one of the best free agents, probably.
I would
On,
say
quarterbacks.
he's towards the top of the list.
Quarterbacks.
Of the guys we are talking about, I think he's going to be closer to the top of the list for me. Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater. He played 14 games, threw over 3,000 yards, which isn't great, but it's not terrible.
I mean, if he played 3 more games, he could have got 4,000 or almost 4,000 yards.
He could have. He could have been. He would have passed Ben Roethlisberger in passing yards for the year.
Probably if he got 200.
And he almost matched Roethlisberger in passing touchdowns. So he's he is playing to
But
the same
also-
caliber that Ben Roethlisberger is playing in his older age.
Big Ben played 2 more games than him.
Yeah.
So
So he was almost. I mean, 4 more passing touchdowns, and he's got him tied. So he was close. But I think he's an interesting one to watch, depending on where Aaron Rodgers goes. Denver may hang on to Teddy. If Rodgers goes there, then I could see them probably having to give up Teddy Bridgewater just to pay Aaron Rodgers, you know. But I could see him going. I could see him going to Houston. I could see him going to Washington. I could see him going to these teams and maybe making an impact as much or more so than he did in Denver.
now, the next guy, Marcus Mariota, the best quarterback on this list, obviously, with 9 games played, 24 snaps, 4 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 87 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 0 interceptions, and a fumble. I don't understand how he played 9 games and did that horrible.
Well,
He probably played like 1 play.
games played. There, he comes in for a goal line play, a 2-point conversion, or whatever. You know, he comes in. He
4
rushes.
passing yards.
He rushes for a touchdown, or he rushes to try to get. I mean, he didn't play whole games. I don't think he played 1 whole game. He probably hasn't played 1 whole game in the last 3 years. So I don't know that he is going to be your guy for anybody.
He was also in Las Vegas too.
Right. He's not. I don't think he goes anywhere and starts unless they absolutely have nobody else.
Like,
He's going to be a career backup, is what he's going to be.
Yep. I think we just go on to the next guy, like right now.
So the 10th guy on the list, Joe Flacco. He is obviously a possibly a future Hall of Famer. I don't know. That's
He
kind
did
of
pretty good on the Ravens.
that's kind of a
Did
gray
he win
area.
the Super Bowl?
He won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. He took them to multiple playoffs.
I think he's gonna retire.
He did really well with the Ravens,
I think
and
he's
he
gonna
probably would have still done well had they not benched him for Lamar.
I think he's retiring this year. 37 years old. If not this year, next year.
He's relatively young compared to Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Big Ben.
Drew Brees played till he was almost 41. Tom Brady played till he was almost 45. I mean,
44.
these guys, they're playing a little bit older and older now. But Joe Flacco, you watch him on the field, and he doesn't look like he's 37. He plays like he's 42. You know, he plays slow. He's sluggish. His throws aren't near as long. They're not near as fast. He just doesn't play like other guys are playing at the age of 37. Aaron Rodgers, 38, I believe, and he's still playing like a superstar.
He's still playing with 28.
Yeah, I mean,
Running touchdowns.
he is back-to-back MVP. I mean, he's in the prime right now. So I agree with you. Joe Flacco, I mean, he played 2 games. In 2 games, he got 338 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Not great. I mean, he's enough.
He played 66 snaps, though.
That's
a lot for like 338 yards. I mean,
yeah, he wasn't great. His time has passed.
yeah, his prime was.
He might be a good backup just to be a veteran guy there to talk through with the rookie.
So, are we going to talk about one more guy?
Yeah, so that was the top 10. One more on the list that didn't make the top 10.
Mitchell Trubisky.
I think he's interesting. He did enough.
At Buffalo?
No. He did enough in Chicago.
He played 6
to
games.
say,
and he had 43 passing yards, 33 snaps, 24 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, and an interception.
Again, he didn't play full games. Josh Allen has that position locked down. No way Mitch Trubisky comes in over Josh Allen. But he did enough in Chicago in his career there that I think he's like an Andy Dalton. He could go somewhere else, get that second chance at a starting position, be good enough to get you through a year or two until you for a team that's in a rebuild state. Houston is kind of in a rebuild state. He's going to be good enough to get you through that until you get the established team that you want. Then you go get yourself a great quarterback.
Okay, I say we move on to the NFL draft QB rookies. Okay, so this one, for the draft prospects, the quarterbacks, the top, we're gonna do probably 5. I say, so the first one is Matt Corral, anything you want to call him, doesn't matter, but Matt Corral, whatever you want to say. I think he's going to go to the Lions. I think he's going to go second pick, because Jacksonville, last year, they got Trevor Lawrence. They're going to keep him. Yeah.
Yeah? You think he goes first round?
Yeah. Detroit first round.
Okay. Kenny Pickett is the next one. He's coming out of Pitt.
Who do you think he's going to go to?
He's probably going to go first round. Let me see your list here. I don't have that pulled up. I think he goes Carolina.
Carolina?
I think he goes Carolina, 6th pick.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know Carolina went on a 7 losing streak? 7 game.
I believe it.
So the next one is Sam Howell, coming from North Carolina. I think he's gonna go to the Falcons. I think he's gonna go first round for the Falcons.
You think so?
Matt Ryan's gonna be retiring soon, and I think that he's gonna go there.
Yeah.
That just makes sense.
Next guy on the list, Desmond Ridder from
Cincinnati.
University of Cincinnati Bearcats. I think he goes. I think he goes late. I think he goes maybe 3rd round. Probably looking at maybe Washington to pick him up. Maybe Cleveland as a backup. But I think he goes third round, maybe early 4th round.
Yeah. And for the last guy on the rookies, Malik Wills. Where is he from?
He's from Liberty University.
Liberty University. I don't really know college teams, but yeah, I think he looks pretty good. I think he'll go 2nd round to the Saints.
I have to disagree. I think he goes late. Him and Desmond Ridder both. I think they go later in the draft. They're not 1st, 2nd round quarterback picks. They come from colleges that aren't the best. Yes, UC made it to the playoffs.
But then they got
the playoffs.
Stomped by they're not a team that you would use. They played pretty easy teams, and in the playoffs they got stomped by Alabama. No surprise.
Liberty University is another team that they're not in the same realm as Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, even Pitt and North Carolina. I mean, they're just not up there. They don't play as good of teams. So these guys, I think, could come in and possibly be starters in a couple years, but they're not going to be walk on the field day one starters.
Yeah.
In the NFL.
I think so. I agree with you now. But now let's get on to the top 10 fantasy quarterbacks.
Now a quick breakdown of our quarterback fantasy football players.
Number 1
from last year was Josh Allen. great quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's definitely top 3 quarterback in the entire league. It's just definitely top 3. I think.
He is. I think he has another year next year of
the young
top 3
quarterbacks,
performance.
I think it's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. I think those 3 are going to be the best quarterbacks in the league when Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, Big Ben, all of them are like gone.
They're definitely the next generation. I think Dak Prescott is in there. I think Kyler Murray is in that.
But Kyler Murray might not stay with Arizona. That's
might
the
not.
talks.
He might not, but I think they find a way to keep him. I don't think they're going to let him go easy.
Okay, number 2.
Number 2, Justin Herbert. I think he.
I had him. And
I think he falls a little bit this year. He was number 2 on the year this year. I think we see him fall back into like a number 4, number 5 range next year. His weapons are getting a little older. They're not as good as they were. Keenan Allen's getting a little older. Mike Williams is a free agent, possibly leaving the team. I think he just doesn't do as well this year as he does next year. I think he's maybe 4 or 5. Third guy on the list, Tom Brady. Obviously, we all know Tom Brady's he has retired, so he won't be in contention for fantasy football next year. So we'll move on to the next guy on the list, Patrick Mahomes. Where do you think he lands next year, as far as position?
3rd.
3rd?
I think he goes up 1.
Okay.
Because Tom Brady's not going to be there. He might even go to 2nd. I think, I'm sorry, but I think Joe Burrow's going to be the number 1 quarterback next year. Sorry. That's our fault, folks. But,
Not biased at all. Patrick Mahomes, I think he stays in the top 5.
yeah, obviously.
He could move back to number 5. He could move up to number 1. He's just that kind of player that
He's good.
that he could.
Yeah.
He's got that potential. Super Bowl champion Matt Stafford comes in at number 5. He did great. I mean, he had a phenomenal season in LA.
Yeah.
He still has his weapons. He gets Robert Woods back next year. Odell's a free agent. Yes, I think they sign him again. He did well enough that they keep him.
And Von Miller's a free agent as well.
Yeah.
So do you think he's going to come back to LA?
I don't see why he wouldn't.
I mean, he finished off his last year. I think next year's going to be his last year, especially if they win another back-to-back Super Bowls.
But
Definitely leaving.
But Matt Stafford definitely going to be, he's not the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen kind of guy where he's going to be definitely in the top 5. I think he could fall to 7, 8. But he's going to be worth having on your team if you get him for the right draft pick.
Yep.
6th on the list, Aaron Rodgers. Of course, he has the potential to be number 1. He has the potential to be number 10. Also depends on where he goes. If he goes to Washington,
if he stays with Green Bay.
If he stays with Green Bay, for sure. If he goes to Washington, I think we see him go down the list a little bit. The next one is interesting. Dak Prescott. He kind of had a little bit of regression at the end of the year. He kind of went backwards a little bit. He's a gunslinger. He's going to throw the ball 100 times a game if you let him. But he could possibly lose Michael Gallup this year. Amari Cooper's not getting any younger. Dalton Schultz, I believe, is a free agent. So there's some things going on there that might change his team there. But I think Dak stays in the top 8
Maybe.
for sure. Joe Burrow, number 8 from last year. Joe Burrow, he's actually number 9 on the team, but number 1 in your hearts.
I think he progressed at the end of the season.
He did. He was getting better as the season went on. So I think that carries over into next year. I think the connection him and Jamar Chase have is second to none. I think we're going to see him just jump up the list. From number 8, I say he's at least number 4 next year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Number 9, Jalen Hurts it kind of hurts me to talk about this one a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he just doesn't look like he's that good of a quarterback. You watch him; he doesn't throw the ball great. He runs a lot. I think that's where a lot of his fantasy value comes from. He runs a lot, but his passes are just average. So I think
him and Devontae Smith have connection from Alabama.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's also helping him out.
I think Jalen Hurts. I think he's top 10. I don't know that he's top 5. So he's going to be in that 6 to 10 range, in my opinion. Number 10 on the list, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray definitely has the potential and the talent to move all the way up to number 1. He's got the team around him. If you keep Hopkins healthy and on the field, and Kyler Murray healthy and on the field, he missed, I think, 3 games last season. So you keep him on the field, he's definitely potential to be number 1. Otherwise, he could fall to that 5, 6, 7 range. But I think if I'm getting a quarterback, Kyler Murray's definitely one of my top ones to get.
Yep, and I think that's it for this episode.
That's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully our information is helpful, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.